The millionaire CEO stepped into his car and froze at the voice of a 7-year-old black girl commanding him to be silent. He could never have imagined the reason would be like this. Be quiet, don't say a word. The high, piercing voice cut through the stillness of the parking lot like a knife. Richard Miller, CEO of Miller Industries, froze in place, keys still in hand, standing outside his black BMW. The order came from inside the car. As his eyes adjusted to the dim interior, he saw a small black girl huddled in the back seat, wide-eyed with fear. "They're eavesdropping," she whispered lightly, pointing toward the office building behind them. "Your partner and his blonde wife. They said you'd be here at this time." Richard, 52, had never imagined his life could be upended by a street child. He had built Miller Industries from scratch into a $200 million tech company. For 15 years, he had trusted his partner Marcus Williams completely, and for 10 years he had trusted his executive assistant Monica Foster implicitly. "How did you get into my car?" Richard asked softly, easing into the driver's seat, careful to avoid sudden movements. "The janitor forgot to lock it when she left. I hid inside after hearing them talk about you upstairs." Her small eyes sparkled with intelligence, a sharp contrast to her tattered clothes. "They said tomorrow you won't own anything anymore." Richard's blood ran cold. Tomorrow was the critical meeting with Japanese investors for a $400 million merger, a meeting Marcus and Monica had meticulously prepared. "Did you hear anything else?" he asked, pretending to check his phone while keeping his gaze on the lit windows of the 10th floor. "They said you're stupid, that you'll sign papers without reading them carefully." The blonde woman laughed loudly, saying that he would have to look for another job the day after. The girl shrank back. "They said worse things too, but my grandma told me kids shouldn't repeat bad words." Richard felt a mix of anger and a surprising sense of pride. This child had risked herself to warn a stranger about betrayal. "What's your name?" he asked. "Jasmine. And you're Richard Miller because I've heard them say your name 1,000 times." She hesitated. "Are you going to hand me over to the police now?" For the first time in weeks, Richard smiled genuinely. "No, Jasmine. Actually, you might have just saved everything I've built in my life." Through the rearview mirror, he saw the office lights slowly go out. Marcus and Monica were probably coming down, thinking tomorrow would be the day they removed him. They had no idea a millionaire CEO had just found the most unlikely ally, and Jasmine, without even knowing it, had given him a gift far more valuable than any meeting time to prepare. As he drove away from the building, Richard began to formulate a plan. But why would a 7-year-old risk herself to save someone she had never met? The answer would change not only the course of his revenge, but also the way he understood justice. If the story of betrayal and retribution resonates with you, follow along to see how the most underestimated person can become the perfect instrument in the downfall of a traitor. Richard drove through the empty streets, piecing together every word Jasmine had spoken, like puzzle pieces clicking into place. In the back seat, she remained alert, eyes fixed on the rearview mirror. "Did they say anything else?" he asked quietly. The blonde lady said, "He trusts us like a good little puppy." Jasmine scrunched her face. "And that tomorrow he'll learn that even little puppies sometimes bite their owners." The casual cruelty in that statement hit Richard hard. 15 years of collaboration, 10 years of trusting Monica, and they had treated him like a dumb pet. "Where do you live, Jasmine?" he asked. "Nowhere permanent," she shrugged naturally, making his heart tighten. "Sometimes in shelters, sometimes on the streets. Depends if there's space or if other kids are causing trouble." Richard stopped at a red light and turned to look at her. "Why are you telling me this?" "You don't even know me." Jasmine's eyes glimmered with worldly understanding. "Because I know what it feels like to be invisible. They talked about you like you're stupid, like you're nothing." Her voice hardened with conviction. "My grandma told me when you see someone being crushed and you can help them because next time it could be you." The light turned green, but Richard stayed for a few more seconds, absorbing the profound lesson of humanity he had just received from a 7-year-old. 20 minutes later, they were sitting in an empty diner. Jasmine was devouring a hamburger while Richard pretended to sip his lukewarm coffee. His phone buzzed a message from Marcus. "Ready for tomorrow. The Japanese investors will love our proposal. You'll retire wealthy." Richard showed the screen to Jasmine, and she let out a quiet laugh. "How shameless, lying straight to your face and still smiling. Marcus had always been like that, smooth, persuasive, while Richard had been typing a friendly reply, concealing the storm of anger boiling beneath. Monica's the same. She knows my schedule better than I do. She has access to everything in the company. And tomorrow you're going to let them pull one over on you. Richard smiled for the first time in weeks. No, Jasmine. But they don't know that I already know. Another message arrived this time from Monica Richard. I've reviewed the final contract. Everything is perfect for signing. Trust me as you always have. The coldness hidden behind that veneer of familiarity made Richard's stomach knot. For 10 years, Monica had been his confidant, organizing his life, knowing his schedule, his passwords, even his fears. What do they know about you? Jasmine asked, licking her ketchup-stained fingers. They know everything. Bank passwords, company accounts where I keep sensitive documents. Betrayal began to settle in his mind. They've had years to prepare. But you've had years to gather their dirt. Right? Richard paused the cup halfway to his lips. Jasmine was right. 15 years of collaboration, 10 years with an executive assistant. He knew their secrets just as well as they knew his Marcus's secret meetings with competitors he thought nobody knew about. The irregular bonus system Monica had set up for herself, emails he had stumbled upon, conversations he overheard when they assumed he wasn't paying attention. You're sharp, that's for sure, Jasmine. My grandmother used to say when you have nothing, you learn to notice everything. Jasmine wiped her hands on a napkin. They think you're stupid, but you're not right. Richard smiled, a feeling he hadn't had in months, a mix of hope and determination. No, I'm not stupid. The phone rang. Marcus was calling, probably to confirm last-minute details locking in the final trap. Richard answered in the friendliest tone he could muster. Richard, glad you picked up. Monica and I are finalizing the last preparations. You resting, tomorrow's a big day. I'm fine, Marcus. I'm eager to see how everything unfolds. Perfect. Trust me, we've handled everything. You just show up and sign where Monica says. The smugness in Marcus's voice was palpable. They truly believed they had turned Richard into a compliant puppet, following their script. After hanging up, Jasmine stared at him. You're thinking something, aren't you? Your eyes are different. Every sneer, every feigned concern, every fake smile over the past months. It all started to click together. Marcus and Monica hadn't just betrayed his trust, they had underestimated his ability to strike back. What they didn't know was that years of building a business had taught Richard a core lesson: the best strategy is silent. And while they were celebrating prematurely, he would turn their own arrogance into a trap to destroy them. The next morning, Richard woke with a clarity he hadn't felt in months. Jasmine was asleep on the living room sofa, wrapped in a blanket he had pulled from the closet. He looked at her, the child who had completely altered the course of his life in just one night. His phone buzzed, a message from Monica at 6:15 a.m. Good morning, boss. I've been at the office since 5 a.m. preparing everything. The Japanese delegation will arrive at 2 p.m. Just trust me and sign where I indicate, as always. Richard gave a wry smile. Monica, the one working overtime to ensure he lost everything, was pretending to be the devoted employee. You're thinking something, Jasmine said, stretching your eyes are different. Like when my grandmother knew someone was lying. I need your help. Can you go back today and eavesdrop on a few more of their conversations? Jasmine sat up, her expression serious. That's dangerous. I know. That's why I'm going to hire someone to protect you. Richard had made up his mind during a sleepless night. He called an old acquaintance, Gabriel Torres, who had once worked for him investigating the backgrounds of major clients. Gabriel picked up on the second ring, his voice hoarse but familiar. Richard. Well, this is a surprise. I thought you'd forgotten me after they terminated my contract last year. The sarcasm didn't escape Richard. Marcus and Monica had let Gabriel go under the pretext of budget cuts. Now he understood the real reason Gabriel was too smart and asked too many inconvenient questions. Gabriel, I need you to know that your firing wasn't my doing. Silence on the other end, then a dry laugh. I figured as much. Marcus has never liked investigators asking uncomfortable questions. So what do you need? 2 hours later, Gabriel was sitting in Richard's kitchen, looking at Jasmine with a mix of admiration and concern. He was a 45-year-old former police officer, hands scarred, eyes sharp and unmissable. So this little girl discovered a corporate plot worth $200 million, Gabriel said, shaking his head in awe. Jasmine, you've got a natural talent for this, he added. My grandma always says when you have nothing, you learn to listen to everything, the girl replied, taking a bite of her toast. Gabriel pulled a tablet from his backpack. Richard, while Jasmine was saving your company, I did a little digging too. I never accepted how I got fired. His fingers swiped across the screen, revealing spreadsheets and documents. Marcus and Monica aren't just betrayers, they're thieves. This evidence? It's brutal. Suspicious transfers, forged contracts, clients that exist only on paper. Over 2 years, they siphoned more than $5 million from the company, creating a complex network of shell corporations. The merger with the Japanese investors isn't about growth, Gabriel explained. It's a money laundering scheme. They need you to sign to legitimize the transfers retroactively. Then they'll remove you and everything will be clean. Richard felt a cold fury rising in his chest. This wasn't just personal betrayal, it was organized crime. They're stealing from the company I built with my own hands, he muttered. They used my trust to feed their own rot. Jasmine leaned forward. Now it gets interesting. They think you're stupid, but you've got an investigator and a clever little girl on your side, and they don't even know it. Richard's phone rang. Marcus, of course. Partner, hope you slept well. Monica and I have been here since early this morning, finalizing every detail. The Japanese delegation will be impressed with our organization. Sure, Richard replied, keeping his tone neutral. Oh, and one more thing, Marcus continued, and Richard could hear the predatory smile in his voice. Monica says you don't need to review the documents today. They're quite technical, and you trust our expertise, right? Just show up and sign where she marks. The arrogance made Richard feel nauseous. They actually thought they could steal $200 million and have him thank them for their help. When he hung up, Gabriel stared at him. You've got two options. Call the police now and hope to win in court, though there's a risk they'll escape through legal loopholes. Or let them put their heads in the noose themselves. Go to the meeting, but not as the victim, as a predator they never expected. Jasmine clapped excitedly, as if watching a movie. You pretend to sign, but you actually know everything. Gabriel smiled for the first time since arriving. Exactly. And while they're celebrating too early, you hand them over to the police, caught red-handed with irrefutable evidence. The phone buzzed again. A message from Monica. Richard, you're the best boss any girl could dream of. After today, our partnership will be forever. The falseness of the message made Richard sick. Monica hadn't just stolen money. She was gloating over the humiliation she had planned for him. They think I'm a soft-hearted fool, Richard said, putting his phone down. They think my kindness is weakness. Gabriel closed the tablet, eyes sharp. Then it's time to show them kindness combined with strategic intelligence can be a deadly weapon. Jasmine jumped from her chair, eyes sparkling. I can help. I'll hide near the meeting room and record everything on your phone. Richard hesitated for a moment. She was only 7. But then he remembered she had risked everything to warn him about the betrayal. All right, he finally said. But Gabriel must watch over you at all times. Gabriel nodded. It will be a pleasure to see those two realize they've underestimated the wrong person. As they finalized the last details, Richard felt something he hadn't felt in years, the thrill of the hunt. Marcus and Monica had spent 2 years building the perfect trap. They had no idea that in just a few hours that very trap would collapse, crushing not just their plan, but their entire lives. For 15 years, Richard had been the reliable partner, the understanding boss, the man who always saw the best in people. But today, they were about to discover a far more dangerous side of kindness, the side that only emerges when patience runs out. The meeting was set for 2:00 p.m., but by 2:05, Marcus and Monica would realize that sometimes the silent sheep they thought was heading to the slaughterhouse had grown sharp fangs, and today it was ready to use them all. At exactly 2:30 p.m., Richard walked into the Miller Industries boardroom as if it were just another ordinary workday. Marcus and Monica were already there, stacking piles of documents with the precision of surgeons. Richard Marcus sprang up, beaming, hugging him like a brother. Glad you're here. The Japanese delegation is about to arrive and everything's perfect. Monica approached with her briefcase and a kind mother smile. Boss, you just need to sign where I marked in yellow. Trust me like you always have. Her tone carried the condescension of someone speaking to a child. All right, Richard replied calmly. But first, I want to show you both something interesting I discovered last night. Gabriel Torres stepped in carrying a box of files, followed by two federal investigators. Marcus and Monica exchanged a quick glance but maintained their smiles. Gabriel Marcus frowned. I thought you weren't working for us anymore. I still work, Gabriel said curtly. Just now, I work for the true owner of this company. Richard connected his laptop to the projector. Marcus, Monica. Remember this conversation? The screen lit up with detailed spreadsheets of bank transfers, dates, and amounts. $5.3 million embezzled over 2 years. Monica's smile faltered for the first time. Richard, what is this? A joke, a joke. Richard clicked to the next slide, showing photos of Marcus entering overseas banks, signed documents, and forged contracts. You two created 17 shell companies to launder the money stolen from me. Marcus jumped to his feet, his charming facade gone. Where did you get this information? This is private. Private, Richard chuckled softly. Marcus, do you really think I built a $200 million company without knowing how to protect my own interests? Monica tried to stay composed, but her hands shook as she clutched the files. Richard, you misunderstand. These transactions all have legitimate explanations. Gabriel interjected, handing each federal agent an envelope. These are recordings of the two of you discussing the fraudulent merger. And this, he placed another envelope on the table, is testimony from 3 phantom clients you fabricated all ready to testify in court. Marcus's face flushed red with a mix of rage and panic. You can't prove anything. It's all baseless accusations, he shouted. Richard smiled for the first time since entering the boardroom. Marcus, do you remember Jasmine, who Marcus barked? The door opened, and the 7-year-old girl walked in accompanied by a social worker. Her eyes gleamed with determination as she strode straight to the conference table. Hello, Uncle Marcus, Jasmine said, her voice sweet but firm. Do you remember me? Last night I hid under your desk when you called Mr. Yamamoto and said you were going to take over Uncle Richard's company. Silence filled the room. Marcus opened his mouth, then shut it, repeating the gesture, unable to form words. Monica tried one last bluff, her voice pitched high in desperation. A child. You're going to believe a street urchin over respected experts? Gabriel pulled out his phone and pressed play. Monica's voice rang out crystal clear. Richard is a sentimental fool. The day after tomorrow he'll have to find another job and we'll take everything. That clown will never know what hit him. Then came Marcus's own voice. 15 years pretending to be friends with that fool. Every second will be worth it when he sees he's lost everything. Monica collapsed into her chair, her face pale as paper. Marcus slammed his hand on the table, sending papers flying in every direction. You bastard, you set us up! Richard remained calm, his voice low but icy. I didn't set you up, Marcus. You've been digging your own grave for the past 2 years. I just handed you the shovel. One of the federal agents stepped forward. Marcus Williams and Monica Foster, you are under arrest for embezzlement, money laundering, and corporate fraud. As the steel cuffs clicked around Marcus's wrists, he screamed, This isn't over. I'll destroy you. Richard stood adjusting his tie with his usual composed air. Marcus, you've tried to destroy me before. The difference is, I'm better at it than you. Monica wept silently as she was led away, but Richard felt no trace of pity. He remembered every smile she had given him while secretly stealing money, every sweet fake message sent while plotting his ruin. Jasmine stepped forward, gently tugging his hand. Uncle Richard, they're really going to prison. Yes, Jasmine. And for a long time. Gabriel snapped the briefcase shut with satisfaction. Richard, the Japanese delegation, canceled the meeting when they heard about the investigation, but 3 other companies have already called wanting to collaborate transparently. Your company will be stronger than ever without these bloodsuckers. Richard looked out the window, watching the police car drive Marcus and Monica away. 15 years of blind trust in Marcus, 10 years treating Monica like family. They had turned his kindness into weakness, his trust into folly. Jasmine still stood beside him, witnessing it all. Uncle Richard, are you sad? He looked at the little girl, the one who had saved his life's work, and smiled. No, Jasmine. For the first time in years, I feel at peace. Why? Because I realize there are still people like you in the world, people who do the right thing, even when there's nothing in it for them. Outside, Marcus and Monica realized that arrogance had cost them not only their careers, but their freedom. Inside, Richard understood that sometimes the greatest gift betrayal gives is clarity, showing him who truly deserves his trust. But one question remained, one that could change everything. What made a 7-year-old girl risk everything to save a stranger? The answer would reveal a connection even Richard could not have imagined. 6 months later, Richard sat in his new office, far larger than the old one, looking down over the bustling city from the 20th floor. Miller Industries had grown 40% since Marcus and Monica's arrest, finally free from the parasitic leeches who had drained its resources. Gabriel knocked and entered, carrying a briefcase and a grin. Latest news on our former friends. Marcus was sentenced to 12 years, Monica 8. They lost all their assets. Their homes were seized to compensate the company. Their lawyers refused to continue representation after attempting to bribe witnesses was uncovered. Richard nodded, feeling a quiet satisfaction devoid of vengeance. And the other victims, he asked. We located 7 other business owners they defrauded over the past 5 years. All are suing and recovering losses. Marcus and Monica had built a scheme bigger than we imagined. Jasmine ran in from the private tutoring session Richard had arranged for her. Her uniform was spotless, her new backpack snug on her shoulders, and her eyes still bright and sharp now, nourished by education and safety. Uncle Richard, I got an A in math. She waved the paper proudly. Congratulations, Jasmine, I knew you could do it. Gabriel smiled, taking in the scene. It's still unbelievable that a 7-year-old girl saved a $200 million company. Actually, Richard said, sitting down to be at eye level with Jasmine, there's something both of you need to know, something I discovered a few weeks ago. He pulled out a legal file. Jasmine, do you remember your grandmother's name? Of course, Josephine Miller. Why? Gabriel raised an eyebrow. Miller. Richard opened the file, revealing a birth certificate, family documents, and old photographs. Josephine Miller is my cousin, the daughter of my father's brother, a family we lost contact with over 30 years ago. The room fell silent. Jasmine looked from the documents to Richard, processing the revelation. So, we're really family, Richard said softly. Your grandmother always spoke about you to social workers, about how smart and brave you are. When I started investigating after that night, all the pieces fit together perfectly. Jasmine leapt into his arms, tears spilling over. I knew it. I knew you were different. Grandma always said families should take care of each other. Gabriel cleared his throat quietly, clearly moved as well. So when this little girl warned me about that plot, it was instinct protecting family, Richard concluded. She didn't know we were related, but something in her recognized the connection. 3 months later, the official adoption ceremony was held at the courthouse where Marcus and Monica had been sentenced. Jasmine, now officially Jasmine Miller, wore a pale blue dress and held Richard's hand tightly. The judge smiled as the final paperwork was signed. Rarely does a story that begins with betrayal end in family reunion. Later at the celebration dinner, Jasmine looked at Richard with the serious intensity only a child could have. Uncle Richard, I mean. Do you think Grandma knew this would happen? Richard thought back to how Jasmine had entered his life at precisely the moment he needed her most. I think your grandmother knew more than we realized, and I'm sure she would be proud to see you save our family. On the 1-year anniversary of Marcus and Monica's arrest, Richard received 2 letters in the same week. The first was from Marcus in prison, attempting a pitiful apology and suggesting that it had all been a misunderstanding. The second from Monica, also behind bars, blaming Marcus and playing the victim. Richard tore both letters to pieces without reading them. They still don't understand, Jasmine said, looking at the shredded paper in the trash. It's not about forgiving or not forgiving, it's about moving forward and becoming better. The girl's wisdom continued to astonish Richard every day. 5 years later, Miller Industries had grown into one of the top 100 tech companies in the country. Richard established a scholarship fund for underprivileged children, providing education and housing for over 200 kids each year. Jasmine, now 12, served as the honorary chair of the scholarship program, personally selecting the recipients and mentoring young people facing struggles similar to those she had once endured. Do you know the best day of my life? Jasmine asked during the program's anniversary dinner. And when was that? Richard prompted. The day I got into your car and decided to trust you. Because that day I didn't just save your company, I saved our family too. Richard smiled, looking at the girl who had become his daughter and his greatest pride. Marcus and Monica had tried to destroy everything he had built, but in doing so, they had unknowingly given him the greatest gift of all, the chance to realize that family isn't only blood, it's courage, loyalty, and unconditional love. He had learned that true revenge isn't about destroying the betrayer, it's about creating something so beautiful and strong that their betrayal becomes nothing more than a footnote in your story of success. Marcus and Monica tried to steal his company, but in the end they gave him far more than they could have imagined. A daughter, a purpose, and proof that sometimes the universe uses the least expected people to give us exactly what we need. If this story of family justice and second chances touches your heart, subscribe to the channel to discover more stories proving that true victory isn't about defeating your enemies, it's about finding the allies who have always been by your side, just waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves.